Chinese fine brushwork is a specialty of Chinese painting and a huge contribution to global culture. After we had brushes, we could write and pass things on to the culture and art of future generations. The first writing brush was made of goat hair. It was white, and its special features were that it was soft, rounded, and water absorbent. This part of the brush was called the point or brush tip. The middle part was called the trunk or body, and the end was called the base. The main part of the brush was made of bamboo. Bamboo is straight and waterproof, making it durable and unbreakable. Located here is the loop made of string to hang the brush on a hook. The second brush was made of the tail hair of the yellow weasel. It was a brown color, quite hard and solid, so it wouldn't bend or lose its sharpness, and wouldn't absorb water. This third brush was made of a combination of the above. The outer brush hair was goat hair, and the inner brush hair was weasel hair. So it was not too soft and not too hard. It had the hardness of the weasel hair and the water absorbency of the goat hair. We painters can use the tip, the middle, and the end to paint a variety of texture lines from extremely fine to very thick. The fourth brush is a large hairbrush. There are many different types of these in China, and they can be classified as small, medium, and large. The smaller brushes are used for detailed work. The larger brushes are used to paint bigger areas. For example, the leaves of the lotus flower need the larger areas covered in ink. We call this brush TB. The earliest ink was made using inkstones. Pine soot ink had a wonderful aroma and could be really dark or really light color. Now we will grind some pine soot ink by adding water and grinding in a clockwise direction. As it is ground, the stone gives off a kind of medicinal perfume. In the libraries of educated people, you could often smell this perfume called the essence of ink. When the grinding was finished, the ink had turned very dark. Next, let's grind some oil-based ink. During the grinding process, the inkstone gradually turns the water into ink. We can take a brush, dip it in, and use this ink directly from the inkstone to write and paint. With modern technological advancements, we hardly ever use inkstones anymore. We usually use modern industrially manufactured ink. Just open the lid and use it. The ink is usually quite thick, and if a lighter color is needed, water can be added. Chinese art paper has a very long history and is a product symbolic of our national geographic location. By the time of the Han Dynasty, the art of making paper was already mature. During the Eastern Han Dynasty, it made big improvements, and by the time of the Ming Dynasty, it was very mature. Chinese art paper is made from tree bark, etc. The craft of making paper has continuously improved over the years, enjoying the reputation of being the paper with the longevity of a millennium. It is a unique Chinese handcraft and treasure. Now, let's look at this paper. It's white, as smooth as jade, and made of long fibers with a cotton texture. It won't rot or be eaten by insects, and is suitable for preserving painting and calligraphy. Sometimes a folding method is used to stack the paper together loosely. This style of stacking is called dao. 100 sheets is called 1 dao. And when we collect or buy this paper, the dao is the unit of measurement used. Other paper has a variety of colors. This is our imitation antique art paper. It looks natural with a light yellow color. It looks like the paper has aged over time, resulting in a natural antique yellow color. Called fan surface, in the past, these were fans used by men. Because painters were in the habit of painting flowers, mountains, rivers, and people on these fans, over the passage of time, this kind of painting evolved into its own style. Specialists painted this kind of fan painting. The color of the paper was gray and had many twinkling golden flecks or fragments woven into it. This was gold scattered onto the paper and added a colorful beauty to this finished artwork. Chinese ink slabs have a history of more than 1,000 years. The earliest were made of stone. These were followed by those made of pottery, silver, wood, and lacquer. The main function of the slab was that it was a receptacle where the ink was ground. Ancient Chinese ink was solid and had to be turned into its liquid form, so the inkstone ground the ink in the ink slab. The ink slab had a lid on it, and its main function was to prevent the ink from evaporating. This is a stone ink slab, and besides it, another. Ink slabs have all kinds of different shapes: round, square, and irregular. Some are decorated with patterned carvings, and all are handmade. Most of the colors used in Chinese painting were from plants or minerals. The mineral colors were from gemstones, such as azurite, blue, malachite, green, and cinnabar, vermilion. These were ground down to a powder, and then an adhesive was added. This is how these colors became a resource for Chinese painters. Because they were from gemstones, the colors were relatively stable and unchanging for thousands of years. The colors that come from plants are called watercolors, because plants dissolve in water and then the color is extracted. For example, the colors of cochineal, red, yellow cane, and the cyanine dyes are all extracted from the leaves, flowers, and petals of plants. They are called watercolors because of their association with water. Chinese people were writing before the invention of paper. They were writing on spun silk and other silk products and then painting on them. This was very extravagant calligraphy and painting. Because at the time, production of silk was very low and it was exclusively handmade. So, spun silk and silk fabrics were luxuries for the nobility. They were really shiny, thin, transparent, and sparkling. Radiant items of silk, making them top-grade artworks. Paperweights in China were usually made from precious or other stones. This one is made from wood, which is relatively strong. Paperweights were mainly used to straighten out wrinkled or crumpled paper. Apart from the 4 treasures of study, there are other items that are necessary in Chinese painting. The stamp and the stamp pad. The stamp had the Chinese painter's name carved into it, and when the painting was finished, this was used to stamp the work. Stamps could be made of stone or metal and could be big or small. Big paintings were stamped with big stamps, and small paintings had small ones. Sometimes painters put words they liked on their stamps. Sometimes they put their family name and sometimes their first name. This is the botanical nature of Chinese characters. This is my name, Chua.